I am Dr. Michael Young, and over the last 3 years, I have traveled to Canada's north over a dozen times looking at the relationship between homelessness, addictions, and mental health in Inuvik and other communities in the Beaufort Delta. What you're about to see is a short film documenting the lives of homeless persons in Inuvik and the experiences of people who work with them. I encourage you to pay close attention to the details recorded here and to ask yourself what might be done to deal with this problem.
In a sense, homelessness, we also looking at other challenges. There's, like I said, there's so many. We do need more, I feel, more mental health workers in the community. Sometimes I feel that we need certified, culturally appropriate mental health caseworkers that do understand what some of our residents who are battling addictions or battling, I guess you could say, demons that cause them to fall through the cracks or continue to abuse the drugs and alcohol.
From Inuvik, born and raised here. I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Admitted. I'm not afraid to say anything. Like, everybody knows me here in Inuvik, and they see me drunk on the street. They see me drinking.
How long has it been since you've been homeless?
Oh, since November.
So we do have a homelessness shelter that only operates a certain amount of time. However, during the day itself, from I believe 8 to 6, no one's allowed in there. That does make it hard when somebody's battling addictions and needs someplace safe to be. And when it's cold out as well, it's not very healthy and safe for some of these individuals to be walking out on the streets. So we definitely need to create some type of infrastructure in the community that would be able to have a safe place for people to go and change the policies, not necessarily the policies of government, but sometimes policies of the NGOs, the Homelessness Committee, to say, you know, even if somebody is under the influence, there might be a couple of beds set aside where they'd be monitored and have a safe place to stay rather than walking the streets and possibly passing out outside or constantly having to go to the jail cells or to the hospital to have someplace warm. I do know that we do get a high number of incidences of people who are under the influence going to the jail cells when they've been denied entrance into the homelessness shelter.
So that zero tolerance means like no drinking period. You go there, there's sober people there. And a lot of them are on the same, like I knew them all my life. And I see them go through struggles. They see me go through struggles.
For instance, yesterday you drank, so where did you sleep last night?
Tell you the truth, I slept underneath the building. A drink was in front of me and it was a temptation that got to me, and so I picked the bottle up and I drank. My wife ain't with me anymore.
Where's your wife?
She went home. Home to heaven. I miss her a lot. I'm sorry.
I was set free.
The people that we usually deal with policing are typically they're the hard to house individuals. A lot of times we're dealing with people with addictions. It's becoming more and more difficult for the police because in the past, a lot of times, if someone was under the influence, we would end up locking them up for the night because there was no place else for them to go. But especially here in the wintertime, when you're talking an average of 35 or 45 below, it's a real concern on the policing side or on the community side. Things are changing, and there have been a couple of inquiries over the past few years where persons have died in the cells, and it's only been the last few months now that we've been trying to deal with different agencies here and advising them that even the policies and procedures we used in the past will be changing. So, which doesn't make the situation any better. As a matter of fact, it's going to make it worse because we were kind of a stopgap, that we were taking in people that the shelter wouldn't accept and really putting, really locking someone up because they're under the influence isn't really the answer. It's just a band-aid measure. It's not really getting to the real root of the problem or coming up with anything permanent for them. So
basically, need a treatment center in the community that would provide a safe environment for individuals to be here in the community with their people that they grew up with, so that they can also get that support and they wouldn't have to travel down south where they'd be, I guess you could say, isolated again, or even put into a situation where they might remind them of being into a residential school system. But if you think of it, it's kind of similar, being taken out of the community and institutionalized again, but for different reasons. But having something here in Inuvik, in the region, where you get support from the community, you'd have visits from the leaders, you'd have visits from your family, your friends, and then when you're done the program, there will be follow-up programs here as well.
I just finished a program, a 1-month-long program in Fort Good Hope, and it's called Discovering Our Humanness program, and it's all about dealing with residential school impacts. So, you know, doing the program, I learned quite a bit also about myself, but that I needed to deal with specifically, but that people with addictions to alcohol and drugs, it's not the addiction, it is what's really internally inside of them, the issues that they've been carrying around for years. And a lot of these people were impacted by sexual assault, male and female, growing up in a really unhealthy environment where there's alcohol abuse, drug abuse, physical, mental, spiritual, everything, you name it, they've seen it. And I was raised that way too. I've seen a lot of things that a child should not see. And you know, I was assaulted too. And so I had issues that I had to deal with. And so I can imagine that these people that are walking the street are seriously in pain.
I got diagnosed as borderline bipolar when I was 15. As far as I can remember, since I was 3, I got beat up by my family. I got abused by my uncles. I mean, the booze was always first before we were growing up, right? So my mom could drink for about 8 months straight while we were staying there. I've been in and out of foster homes. I was in and out of group homes. I lived with my grandmother. My grandmother raised us for a while. And then, you know, I just got out of grade school. I went to live with my late auntie Shirley.
There's nothing for them in our community to really help them. I mean, the Family Counseling Center is backlogged. Can I go there and get help for myself after my 1-month program? Can I continue my healing journey? Probably not. I would be on the waiting list. Apparently there's 1 or 2 year waiting list, so there's not enough psychologists to help our community. And you can imagine in the smaller communities in the high Arctic and even in this area, there is no help for them. So the abuse will continue to suffer, but they will also abuse others. So it's, you know, generational. We'll be impacted for a long time before we really get the help we need.
It's just I have family problems right now, like severe. Not severe, it's just I do so much for my family and it's just they're not appreciated and all I do is getting shit from them. So I just had enough with it and told them that it's their turn to look after their mother. I was looking after my grandmother. She's 93 years old, and I've been doing that for my mom for 20 years.
I'm the executive manager, so we're responsible for looking after and maintaining the housing units for the Housing Corporation. So we rent the units out, move people in, move people out, deal with disturbances, deal with collections of rent, things like that. Some people have tried numerous times to live in housing, and like any program, you've got rules that you have to follow that are for everybody. And for some people, it's just not the right place. There has to be something in between. A step up from the homeless shelter. You know, homeless shelter should be, you know, a quick, like a, hey, I need help right now kind of thing, not a long term. And then you need a transitional housing, something that gives people a workup to get into housing. or some people may stay in that transitional housing forever. It would be where you don't have to leave at 9 o'clock in the morning and can't go back till 5, that they actually have programs. They have support groups, they have, because I know that there was one group that was having little workshops, and a lot of people went to them because they could stay focused, because maybe it was only for a day or two, and they were learning basic life skills. A lot of these people need basic life skills.
I know of a fellow here in town who ended up homeless because he's actually quite disabled, and so what ended up happening to him is people were taking advantage of him. You know, showing up to his place, staying in his place, and just causing problems for him, and he really could not control it himself. And they ended up kicking him out. Even though he tried to explain the situation to public housing, he ended up getting kicked out. And he's still homeless to this day. And he's staying at the shelter. And he needs, he needs special care. And like I said, the shelter cannot provide that kind of care.
David Rufus, and my original hometown is Tuck. I'm age 49 in an accident, so that's why they moved me from here to Tuck. You know, closer to doctor. Yeah.
And what was the accident?
Well, I got beaten up with a hockey stick, face area. Yeah, that did a lot of work. Yeah. Well, I quit drinking. Well, that almost killed me, drinking.
Yeah.
That's why I quit.
How did you do that? How did you quit? Did you just stop?
Well, after what happened to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you still have to see a doctor or counselor once a
Yeah, just a doctor.
at the hospital?
Yeah.
How often?
Whenever they phone, maybe last time I never seen a doctor, I think 2 months. Yeah, so I think everything's going good now, so.
I think that housing needs to be a little bit more easy. There has to be a way for them to get back in the graces, or help them to get back into public housing quicker, because I think they really have a strict policies that really prevent them from getting back in there. And I believe it's maybe even a year before they can even get back into public housing. And try to afford private housing, it's impossible. You're paying $1,800 a month plus some of the utilities, and if they can't afford to live in that kind of house with those expenses under the low income perhaps that they're making, they're going to continue to be homeless.
Inuvik is a real transient community, and say for example your social worker come in and start doing programs, and then just starting to build a rapport with the client or the homeless people, and then the next day the person is gone, right? So that trust relationship, I find it really hard for individual to wanna or choose to maintain or to stick to some kind of training. It's hard. I mean, it's sad. I mean, even though there's so much resources right here in our community and in our region, being able to work together as a whole to help an individual, there's too much individuality right now when it comes to programs. Interagencies, they get together quite regularly and try to pool all of their resources together and how they can best deliver programs, but at the same time they're sitting in their individual offices back and saying, well, we can't do this because, and it's all boils down to the confidentiality and policy. if they can all come in together and get rid of their professional hats and have one goal in mind, and that's to help our people, then so be it. I mean, if we can find that, we've made mention of that a lot of the meetings that we've gone to. Take off your professional hat, leave it at the front door. Let's do some work.
Because I used to drink too. We talk about our culture, how we grow up. When I was growing up, we already left the bush. My culture and that was just like the only thing I knew was drinking. Because when the oil boom came, everybody was drunk. The kids fended for themselves, out all night, no school, having to take responsibility for yourself. And I know for myself it wasn't easy because I was there too. I drank and did all the things that was not good for me or my kids. And I really had to take a good look at my kids, my life, and say, no, I'm done with that. I had to choose. I went for counseling. I mean, that helped me, in the long run. They used to have National Addictions Awareness Week. And it's run by the counselors here in Health and Social Services. And they had a meeting and they're saying, like, where's everybody? Where's all the parents or the concerned people in the community? And there was police, people from social services, counselors, town of Inuvik, and all different community workers were there, frontline workers. One of them asked, where's all the people? Don't they care? Because I know firsthand, if I'm not there, I'll be home. And I said, they're home looking after the people with addictions. It could be their sister, their kids, their brothers, their aunts, their uncles. I said, they're out there caring for these people, even they don't want to. So when I went to that meeting, it was like going to a movie. Like it wasn't real. I mean, the reality is here, even in my home. Looking after, trying to help look after our own people. And there is hope, there is hope out there.